Hello and welcome to the PHNX D-backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla, officially known as the mayor of PHNX. We're going to get that put up on one of these graphics up here behind me soon enough. And we thank you guys for joining us here on the podcast. Of course, I am joined by my vice mayor, the one and only Thunderstick Jesse Friedman.
Derek, today marks the first show in the history of the PHNX Diamondbacks podcast where the person on our front cover art for the show is someone who I have absolutely no idea who they are. So this is going to be an interesting one for me.
Yeah,
Derek.
We're casting a movie today, Jesse. We're doing biopics and stuff.
I don't watch movies, Derek. I don't know any of these people.
I know. So I went ahead and played casting director so that we could get this figured out because we're on a budget, we're on a time frame, and we got to start shooting, Jesse. This shooting schedule begins very soon. But I want to remind all of you that this show is brought to you by the fine folks over at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, and simply for betting $1 on any NFL team to score, you will win $100 in free bets instantly should they score any points. Again, our code is PHNX to get that offer and go get some money. It's holiday season time. We got to recoup those funds. I know most of you hopefully have already gotten your holiday, Christmas, and other holiday shopping done. But if you haven't, then there could be your money for that. So, Jesse, we have actual news. Is it news? I don't know if it's news, but MLB revealed today their top 100 prospects on a special that they had on the MLB network. First thing I thought was interesting in watching it was that they just did the top 50, which I really have to question. Now, we are a baseball podcast. We at times have expressed our struggle to come up with content for this show during both the most boring time of the baseball season and a lockout, the combination of those two things happening at once. But MLB had a fine opportunity here to give us a 2-hour program and go all over all 100 prospects. I know it's baseball. I know most of them in the top 50 won't even work out, right? Because we are talking about not MLB prospects that are already in the system, but these are the top 100 MLB draft prospects.
It's an interesting event for them, and frankly, I kind of wonder who watches MLB Network this time of year, right?
It's me. It's this guy. It's
okay.
Yeah, it's me and like 3 guys in Ohio, basically.
Yeah, I'm glad there's someone out there because MLB Network in the off season and especially during a lockout where you like can't legally talk about much is especially complicated right now.
I'm surprised they're even on. I thought I would go there and it was just going to be a blue screen is what I thought that I was going to see.
You know what else I have to comment on is I'm starting to see teams advertise like ticket packages. And it's like, hold on a second here. We don't even know if we're playing a season. As of right now, we are in the middle of a lockout, and you're selling tickets for games that theoretically, as of right now, would not be played. So I find that a little suspect what they can and cannot do around this time of year.
Wait one goddamn second, Jesse Friedman. Did you just say that we don't know when the season is going to commence?
Well,
Do you not know? I thought you knew. I thought you knew the exact date and time when it was going to commence.
Well, I know, Derek, but
January 28th.
It's January 28th. Right. I know that, and you know that, and all of our listeners certainly know that.
The viewers, maybe not so much, but the listeners, they definitely know.
Yeah, they definitely know. But Major League Baseball, I mean, they can't see into the future like some of us can, Derek. So they're completely oblivious to this, and in their mind. Who knows? Who knows when the season will come back, if at all?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
You
I just
know,
thought that was
who
funny.
knows? Jesse Friedman
I
knows.
know. I
Jesse
know.
knows.
Right. That's the answer to the question.
The definitive answer is it's definitely not going to happen before 2022. Reports came out today that they are basically shutting down for the holiday season, which we knew
Yeah.
this was going to happen. This was inevitable. It's lockout season. We need to get a little like, Santa hat on Baxter in this picture because it's lockout season, all holiday season, and he's probably going to be celebrating New Year's, watching fireworks in those pajamas too, because we're not coming back before the new year. And again, that's something we were pretty clear on, and we knew. Again, it's weird because when I talk about that this is the dead season of baseball, this absolutely would be the worst time as far as news, transactions, and things happening. Regardless, if this was a normal season without a lockout, this would be when all activity shut down pretty much for the holiday season anyway. So it's no surprise. I think it just can infuriate people a little bit. It's like when Congress has a big bill to pass or something important to do, and they just decide to take their normal break and go off and do it without resolving the issue. We want to see them resolve the issue, and we don't want to see them take this holiday break and have a nice holiday with their family. We want them to get to work, fix this, go fix this, and then give us baseball back. But an interesting development, Jesse, with the top 100 prospects. And looking at the top 5, our man, the guy who tank season was all about, Elijah Green, has slipped down to 3rd in the top 100 MLB draft prospects, which I am fine with, Jesse. Let's stash him away. Don't tell anybody about him. But Drew Jones, that is spelled that way. Yes, spelled with a U, of Andrew Jones, outfielder. He is the top overall number 1 ranked draft prospect, followed by Tamar Johnson, second baseman, then Elijah Green, followed by Jacob Berry, a third baseman, and last Brooks Lee, a shortstop from Cal Poly. So, and not really any surprises there, to be honest. A little bit of a shuffling of that order, which you could question why that happens. It could be based on the progression that they've had over the last year or whatever. But I mean, seeing Elijah Green still in the top 3 is nice. I know that the Baltimore Orioles are very fond of Tamar Johnson. He was on that MLB top 100 prospect special and was a great to hear him. Like, he seems like a ready talent. Like so, and I don't know if the Diamondbacks would necessarily go after a second baseman at this point, but considering the development and the time it takes to plug these guys along and get them through the system, I don't think anything's off base. I don't think they're looking at needs at this point. Would you say?
Probably not. Probably not. And I mean, if they were looking at needs, they would probably take a starting pitcher. But none of the 5 names that you mentioned are starting pitchers.
Correct.
And actually, looking at this list, I have it in front of me here. The first starting pitcher, or the first pitcher, I guess I should say, is Dylan Lesko, according to MLB Pipeline, and he comes in at number 9. So the Diamondbacks, we don't know much, Derek, but we know with a reasonable amount of confidence, the Diamondbacks are probably taking a position player with the 2nd overall pick in the draft, which I guess I shouldn't say 2nd overall pick, because as you wrote about the other week, theoretically, under the new CBA, it's possible that that pick could get moved around. But at
all
the very
Diamondbacks
least,
are guaranteed is one of the top 3 picks at this point.
Yeah,
so
one of the top 3, assuming that proposal that you mentioned is the one
goes
that
through,
ultimately goes through.
Because it could be something else, and it could jeopardize their draft position even at number 3. It could be more of an NBA NHL lottery style where they involve more than just the top 3 picks.
We don't really know. We don't really know a whole lot about that. But one thing that we can say is that by no means is there a closed door right now on the Diamondbacks getting Elijah Green. So if you were one of those people going crazy over Elijah Green, like Derek,
this guy
right here on the screen alongside me, right? This is good news for you because Elijah Green is there. And I think what's the best news from my standpoint, Derek, is that all of these guys are real legit talents. I mean, this seems to be a pretty strong draft, especially here at the very, very top. I don't think the Diamondbacks could go wrong taking any of the top 3 names that you mentioned, probably any of the top 5 names that you mentioned. Drew Jones, Like you alluded to, he's the son of Andrew Jones, who of course had a pretty legendary career in Major League Baseball. He's a little bit leaner than his dad was. Maybe he comes into his own as far as his strength over time. But he's a legit prospect. I mean, I think Drew Jones, Tamar Johnson, and Elijah Green, all of these guys are potential 5-tool players. They don't really have any clear weaknesses in their game. So it's exciting. I mean, however this turns out, the Diamondbacks are going to be picking high and they're going to get a really good player. And for all of the tank season people, including once again you, Derek, because you were chief among all of them, this is probably some semblance of relief, right? Because you know that it doesn't look like the difference between the first pick and the second pick, at least on paper, as of right now. It's not the type of draft where it seems like the difference is very big. And that's always what you worry about in that situation, is if there's one jackpot player and then everyone else. I don't think that's the case this year.
Well, and from what I got in responses to my piece and some of the people that were familiar with the Baltimore Orioles organization, like I said, they were really fond of Tamar Johnson. So for me, one of my concerns there was him possibly shifting down, a little bit further. The fact that he stays above Elijah Green at this point, that, like you said, that makes me happy. To be honest, the Pirates, I think, who have the 3rd overall pick, could walk away with Drew Jones in this situation, very possibly. And that would be a total baseball thing to have happen. It's not surprising for teams to, still go with their guy and pass up on the number 1 overall pick because that person isn't exactly who they were, looking at. Baseball is so fickle with its draft. And I think that's the reason why, even with my criticism of the MLB network's lack of coverage of the, numbers 100 through 51, I get it. We're definitely talking about high school players. And when we talk about the draft, look at what occurred with Kumar Rocker, who declined his signing with, was it the Mets? I believe it was the Mets that drafted him.
Yeah.
And
such a Mets thing. so beautifully Mets.
Well, and I think he's ranked 31st overall, which is quite a drop from where he was actually drafted at.
I mean, it shows the depth in this year's draft that a guy like Kumar Rocker, who is still pretty highly thought of, is not even breaking the top 30. That's pretty telling.
Yeah, absolutely. Another interesting piece of MLB news that came out today. I know, strangely enough, that there was MLB news. The Mets are conducting second interviews with a few candidates, including former manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks, Buck Showalter. Wow. So I ask you, Jesse, are the Mets actually building the D-backs from a different multiverse? Is what is happening? Is this like a what have could have been team? I don't get what the hell is happening with the New York Mets.
Well, you're mixing a lot of different time eras, right? So they've
that's the multiverse part of it. It's broken. It's like the new Spider-Man movie. It's all screwed up. What is Buck Showalter doing on the same team as Starling Marte? That didn't happen at the same time.
It is. So it's Eduardo Escobar, it's Starling Marte, it's Taijuan Walker. Are there any names I'm missing?
Max Scherzer.
Oh, that's a small one.
That's a small one. I know it's easy to forget that
little bitty one to miss out. Yeah. That's I don't know if any of those guys played at the same time. Yeah. Maybe Eduardo Escobar and Taijuan Walker. I think Taijuan Walker was probably hurt once Eduardo Escobar came in. So I don't know if any of those guys ever played at the same time.
Guess what? Tom Holland and Tobey Maguire are never in the same Spider-Man movie before, but it's happening, Jesse. It's happening. And this is what's happening on the Mets.
Could you have predicted that, Jesse?
Yeah. Where's that prediction, Jesse? Do you have that one figured out?
I thought this was you, Jesse.
the great and almighty wizard Jesse.
Pondering the orb.
Is this where I'm supposed to compliment your crown placement, Shane, except instead of crown placement, it's where you put my face.
Yes.
On the wizard.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the exact time for that, Jesse. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's going to work out for them. I don't know if they did their research quite on the history of the D-backs. Because if anything, they should travel back in time and acquire members of the 2001 team if they were smart and bring them back. And we're going to get to that because things have gotten crazy with sports biopics, and I'm excited about some of the ones that are coming out. But before we talk about that, as Jesse alluded to, we do have some articles over at gophnx.com covering MLB free agents, or at least the free agents the Diamondbacks have covered during Mike Hazen's regime. And I'm going to have an article up tomorrow on the top 5 prospects from MLB's top 100 prospects list, and just a little bit more information on those guys. Obviously, we've talked about Elijah Green to an extent, but there's a good chance that one of the other 4 could end up as a member of the Arizona Diamondbacks. So we'll have some information up. Go become a member if you're not already. And if you're not, what the hell, what are you waiting for? Go get it now. It's not just our coverage, it's all the coverage. We've talked about, I am the biggest Gerald fan in this room right now, and there's nobody that's going to refute that.
That is not true.
But
Derek.
I'm just going to say I am, because go read Gerald's writing. Go read everybody's writing, Jesse's wonderful writing, my okay substandard writing. But you can get all of that over at gophnx.com. Become a member. Sign up to become an annual member, and you'll get a free t-shirt over at GoPHN or at the PHNXlocker.com. Or you can get the month-to-month option, and you'll get your first month for just 50 cents. And again, become a member of a family. We call you a member because that's exactly what you are. You get access to members-only discounts over at the PHNX Locker, and as well as our members-only Discord, which Jesse and I will be very active on once there's baseball news to talk about. So if not, we can go talk about how little Jesse knows about pop culture references.
Oh, please.
In the,
we don't need
chat,
that in
because
the Discord,
let me tell you,
Derek.
I had to take over on this, but go become a member at gophnx.com. And we need to talk about this, though. The Arizona Diamondbacks 2001 World Series team. I think it would make a great movie. Jesse, I know you think it would make a great movie. And with the recent release of the Kurt Warner biopic, American Underdog, as well as the upcoming HBO series on the LA Lakers Winning Time. I don't know if you saw a preview for that, but it looked excellent. And I was just wondering, like, what would the Arizona Diamondbacks World Series team movie look like? The tale of that season. So, Jesse, I casted it. Let's take a look.
Oh, my gosh.
I got here what I have is some of the more important roles and supporting roles here. First off, let's start with Bob Brenly as Tom Selleck, because I can't think of a more iconic mustache to match up with Bob Brenly's iconic mustache as Tom Selleck. Put a hat on that guy, and it's a dead ringer right there. That is that's it. This next name, Jesse, boy, I'm a big fan of this actor, Chris Diamentopolis.
There you
go. I'm pretty sure I said that right that time, but it's Chris Diamentopolis. He is from such shows as Silicon Valley. There is a bunch of roles he's been in, and I've always enjoyed his acting. Now, here's the thing. Not only do I feel like he's a dead ringer for Luis Gonzalez, but I feel like this movie, if I'm not mistaken, would be based strongly around Gonzo, right? Like, he would have to be a pretty important role in this film, probably one of the main stars, alongside his co-host, not you're my co-host, co-star Randy Johnson, who, yes, I know Sam Elliott is literally the only human being on the planet that could play Randy Johnson. And I know Sam Elliott is very old, but let's be honest, Randy Johnson has looked like he was 75 years old since he was 26. And I'm pretty sure that in this film, through makeup and CGI, we could definitely match those two up. I had a hard time with Jerry Colangelo here. Okay. I went with Steven Vanzant. There were a couple of others that were runners up here. Chaz Palminteri. It was a hard role to cast. This would be a very important character. I just think back to his time on The Sopranos and think he can handle this kind of boss ass role, right? Because that's a boss ass role. I had a problem with
Jerry Colangelo has kind of a, I don't know, like he's not like the big mean boss type.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I know you didn't watch Sopranos. Neither was Steven Vanzant. He was more of the voice of reason at times on the show.
Okay. All right. There's something about that picture. It's just a little off-putting. It doesn't really.
Well, that's from his time as a member of the E Street Band. That's different. That's the E Street Band time. That's his double life that he does. But down here in the corner, this one Oh, Kiefer Sutherland. Time is not kind to any of us. I would never have thought to cast Kiefer Sutherland in this role until I saw a more recent, older picture of Kiefer Sutherland. And unfortunately, he's starting to look a bit like Kurt Schilling. So
he does kind of look like Kurt Schilling, I have to admit.
again, I feel like the nature of the role would require a big actor, and I think that we're looking for a big star. I also played this game money wise, right? So I was trying to get some value here. I could have gone for Brad Pitt for some of these roles. I could have done the Moneyball thing and cast somebody very good looking in some of these roles. I think Chris Diamantopoulos he's a pretty good looking guy. He's a dead ringer for Luis Gonzalez, but Chris Tucker is Tony Womack. He might be too tall, but I love this so much. I think that's a good matchup. I also really had a hard time with Craig Counsell. I know there's a comedian or an actor out there that I just can't think of who he is that looks more like him than DJ Qualls, but we're going to give DJ Qualls some work. I know he hasn't been active too recently as an actor, so we're bringing him back. And look, that's not a qualification here. Sometimes people, their careers can resurge in a biopic like this, and this is exactly what we're going with.
Nice
qualification. Hey, oh man, I like when Shane produces our show.
Shane adds so much to the show. That was
he really does. Last year we got Michael Ealy as Miguel Batista, and I went purely on beautiful eyes with this one, just purely on gorgeous, stunning eyes to match up with Miguel Batista's stunning eyes. And that's your primary cast for the 2001 D-backs movie. I need to know what people think. I need to know what they would change. Who don't they like, and who would they cast? Maybe we have other roles, right? Anthony Edwards as Jay Bell. These are all names I know Jesse doesn't know, so it's kind of like I'm speaking to a wall right now. I know Shane over here supports me though, and he likes some of my casting decisions.
Maybe we should hear what Shane has to think. Shane, did he do okay? Because I don't know enough to really.
Yeah, I thought he did a phenomenal job.
Thank you, Shane.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you, Shane.
All right.
But okay, let's talk about this though. The events of the Diamondbacks, 2001 World Series. We have the casting done, but the movie, I think, actually would be a compelling movie. All things considered, I watched Moneyball. I've been watching a lot of movies lately, but Moneyball really made me just kind of laugh at some of the things that they did in the movie, right? Like Moneyball is supposed to be this true life story, yet they created a single very important character who they refused to name who it is, and he's a fictitious person, yet everybody else in the movie is real. That is a very weird part of Moneyball for me. I get it. They wanted to keep that person anonymous, and I even read an article or two that kind of named who might have influenced that character, who it might be based on, right? But still, it seems like a very odd thing to have such a major plot point in a movie like that that's supposed to be about true life stories, and just have this one fictitious character kind of in there that isn't a real person. Right?
Wait, what character are you talking about, Moneyball?
Jonah Hill's character.
He's a totally real guy.
No, he's not.
No, he absolutely is.
I'm telling you though.
I can look up his name right now.
Go ahead, look it up. Do your research right now. I'm telling you that Jonah Hill's character was a fictitious character. It was just based on I'm telling you, look it up. Jesse, I know I'm asking too much of you sometimes to know this pop culture information. You can find out I'm wrong and then tell me I'm wrong. I'm going to
impress you with my pop culture.
I want to know that
right now, Derek. It is Paul D. Podesta. Paul D. Podesta. He is now he's kind of since changed from the baseball world to the football world, but that's who that character is based off of in Moneyball.
Yes,
as far as I'm aware.
Who the character is based off of. Yes, I'm not saying
you just mean there's no one named Peter Brand.
Correct, and that everybody else is real people. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
like they
that
chose.
Is very fair. Yeah,
they chose to change the name of one very important character in the movie. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that would be like changing Jerry Colangelo's name. I feel like in this film, considering he was so instrumental in the changes to this team, right?
Yeah,
and I mean, I would even take a step backwards in this film to that meeting. Right. I mean, I think that's where I would start that meeting. We've talked about this quite a bit on this show, but I would take it back to that meeting where Jerry Colangelo had a talk with Garagiola and others in the organization about the fact that they had lost so many season ticket holders in that first season, and that they needed to do something about it, because I feel like that's the catalyst. That's the moment that led them to that 2001 World Series, right? And it's that happened after 98. So I mean, you might not need to show the whole time period leading back up to 2001, but if you start the movie there, that's a very influential moment in this organization's history. And then going from there, as far as what happens 2 seasons later, is pretty impressive, considering that Colangelo brought people into a room and said, we need to throw however much money it takes at this to make this team a winner, because people will not stick around for 10 years to watch this team eventually start winning. And that meeting led to that faithful night on Game 7, where we end our story, if you will, or wherever it goes, right?
But I'm trying to think, because it's one thing to cast the movie, but it's another thing to figure out like what the story arc really is. Because Moneyball is fundamentally a movie about Billy Beane and also Peter Brand, right? Like they're really the stars of the show there. It's really not a movie about the players almost at all. They make little appearances here and there. Scott Hatteberg is kind of blown up a little bit. And you hear from other players, David Justice, you hear from a decent amount, but it's really not about the players. It's more about Billy Beane and Peter Brand. So I guess, is it a movie about Jerry Colangelo? I feel like I don't know who else is a big star there, because Bob Brenly obviously played a big role, but there aren't a lot of storylines that I'm aware of that you could really make an entire movie out of just based on Bob Brenly. And same with other people in the organization. Like, I'm not sure if there's any one person that you kind of use as your main protagonist throughout the whole thing.
It would be interesting to see, because we would need to actually know probably some more inside stuff, maybe some stuff that isn't, because that's what was surprising to me about Moneyball, considering that period of time wasn't that long ago, that they kind of had so much inside information about what happened in these meetings and such, right? Obviously, Billy Beane was heavily involved in the production of this movie, and I'm sure probably quite a bit in the casting of it. If I'm casting the PHNX movie,
did Billy Beane really pick Brad Pitt?
I would pick it for myself. I don't even care if it looked like me. I'd be like, yeah, Brad Pitt. He wants to be in this movie. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care how much we look alike. But I do think that, there's like different stories to be told there, right? Like Kurt Schilling and how he impacted the clubhouse, and maybe because we know about his attitude and his views and such now. And I just wonder if there's any stories about him being kind of a polarizing person in the clubhouse as well, right? Randy Johnson, another guy that I don't imagine being the warmest individual to be around in the clubhouse or be a teammate of, right? So
that's why I feel like the story arc would be tough, because Randy Johnson, it's not like there's any difference between Randy Johnson at the beginning of the story and Randy Johnson at the end. Like Randy Johnson 2001, even after they won the World Series, I don't think was this super relaxed, like down to earth sort of guy. Like it's weird.
He learned a lesson, and he changed throughout the course of the movie, Jesse. That's what. There's none of that.
He did that. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
But I don't necessarily think that's not what it would be entirely about. You know what I mean? Like when you take a look at like a fictional baseball movie like Major League, right? I mean, it was just about scrappy guys coming together and, being a bunch of rejects that eventually had success, right? And I mean, to an extent, the way that the Diamondbacks were built was they were this team that was put together piece by piece by acquiring all of these
really different scraps, though. I mean,
but not scraps. That's what I'm saying. No, and I'm not saying it would be that kind of story, but I'm saying it's the acquisition of the guys and getting them together. And again, there are a lot of stories we might not know, and there's things like that I think that would have a big influence in that story, right? Like Succession is this show on HBO, and it's weird to talk about it because it has like this really dry sense of humor, but it's also very dramatic. And I just find it to be hilarious, even though it's not really made to be a hilarious show. Their banter and their things they say and stuff is very funny. I felt the same way about Moneyball watching it, right? Moneyball, like a lot of the banter and stuff is kind of funny, but it's like on paper, it's a very boring movie. And if you're not a big baseball fan, I would imagine that there's not a lot there for you to grab onto, right? Like other baseball stories try to be a little bit more universal and bring in the casual movie fan. Whereas Moneyball was like, look, if you don't know what RBIs mean, get out of here. Like you shouldn't even watch this film, right? So that's, I think a position that, that's probably something this movie would have to be, a very baseball driven focused movie. But I definitely think there's funny moments. I think there's funny characters. I think Bob Brenly would be great as a character, especially played by Tom Selleck. I love Mr. Baseball, so I want another Tom Selleck baseball movie. But that's an interesting thing, and I mean that's something that we would definitely have to come up with. Most importantly, we need to figure out who plays Flag Lady. Cindy McBride, who plays Flag Lady.
Could we have Flag Lady play Flag Lady?
There we go.
Maybe.
I like it.
She's still doing it as far as I know.
Well, not only is she still doing it, she's doing it at a high level, right? She has more consistency in her game than half the players on our roster right now.
There you go.
There you go. Flag Lady. Reminder, you guys go off to DraftKings Sportsbook app. Of course, use our code of PHNX, and simply for betting $1 on any NFL team to win, you will score $100 in free bets instantly. And just as a reminder, DraftKings is the official sports betting partner of the NFL. And you can get down with our code of PHNX. You can get down with our parlays. Shane's here, so now he can hear me say it. But I've stripped myself of all parlay-related nicknames because I have not hit one in a long enough time that I cannot call myself Mr. Parlay.
Yeah,
or
went 3 for 3 last night on the PHNX bet show.
Yeah, I bet you did. And I bet there was very negative, terrible things said about me. I'm also not calling myself Big Papa Parlay because I would be stealing our friend is his nickname, but I'm not supposed to talk about that because Jesse says for me not to. He tells me that it's not good for my self-esteem to talk about how much better other people's nicknames are than mine. But
and
just
yet this happens every show.
every show, because I'm still not over it. I lose sleep at it about it almost every night. But you can combine multiple bets from the same game for a same game pay, bigger payout. More legs you add, the more money you win. You can combine multiple bets from multiple games or multiple sports even on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And the important thing there is the more legs that you add, the more money you do win. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. And remember, that code to get $100 in free bets is PHNX. 21 and over only, Arizona only. Gambling problem? Dial 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. And Jesse, I need to get back to this movie, though. I need to figure out, because we're wrapping up the show. I need to figure out what the perfect ending for the movie would be. What's our perfect point of ending? Would it be the single? Is it the single and then cut to slow motion and everything just happens and that's it, and then we like roll credits after that? Or do we show any of the Arizona Diamondbacks story beyond Game 7 of the 2001 World Series in this movie?
Well, first of all, you use Greg Schulte's call, not Joe Buck's. That's
there. You go. Okay. Noted.
And I think you cut it there.
Yeah,
right. I think it's done.
80s slow-mo zoom into Flag Lady.
80s slow-mo zoom into Flag Lady.
That's where
spinning a flag and then like do like a clockwise wipe to end, following the flag around.
For some reason, Gonzo kisses somebody.
Yeah. Steve Finley. That's who he kisses.
Sure.
I didn't cast Steve Finley because I couldn't think of anybody like Steve Finley.
Evan Thompson threw out there Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, I don't think Kevin Bacon is handsome enough to play Steve Finley, and that's no disrespect to Kevin Bacon.
He's a pretty good looking guy.
Yeah.
You need I don't know if Kevin Bacon quite cuts it.
My friend Daryl told me I should have picked Face from A-Team, but he's talking about the original television show, and that's too long ago, Jesse. I need it to be a recent actor. I'm filming this movie soon, so I can't call. I mean, I don't even know if that man's still alive, Jesse. That was one thing I had to make sure, by the way, in casting this. Too many actors I know and love are actually have passed away, and I've completely forgot about it, and I felt awful about it because there were guys that I actually like ran through their bio and it had like, you know, a date of death, and I had no idea up till that moment that they had even passed, you know. Oh man, time waits for nobody, let me tell you. I can't end it on that downer, Jesse. So but
they won the World Series, Derek.
The end of the World Series,
won the World Series.
Yeah, that's how it ends. That's the positive thing. I'm seeing that Randy Johnson, and because that would be funny, Sam Elliott and Kiefer Sutherland wearing the World Series shirts, holding the
I just don't know.
trophy.
Sam Elliott is 77 years old, Derek. Even with as great as CGI is, how is the man going to throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball? I mean, I know there are ways, but
we'll get a stand-in. He'll be very tall. We'll CGI his face on. We'll fix it in post-production. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It'll look fine.
Okay.
Dirk Benedict is still alive. I almost said him. In fact, see, yeah, Evan and I, we're both very old people, and good. I'm glad to hear that because God bless Face from the A-Team. He was my favorite. Jesse, have you ever seen an episode of the A-Team?
Of course not. I have no idea what you're
I just had to ask. I just had to ask. And once again, prove to everybody what I'm up against over here when it comes to bantering with you on this show. But
see, that's what I like about us, Derek. Is if you like stats, if you like numbers, I'm here for you. If you like pop culture references, Derek's here for you.
If you like guys
and
that
between
drink
the two of us,
Steve Austin's Broken Skull IPA on the show, then that's what I'm here for. But we thank you guys so much for watching the show. You can follow us on Twitter. I am at @cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks. But of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports. And that is on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Please, if you're watching us right now, go over to your favorite audio podcasting app, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review. We've covered this, but Jesse is a 5-star man. And I hopefully do not subtract from that in any way. Also, go over to YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to us there and sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss any of this fresh, hot-baked Arizona sports content we're putting out all the time out of the PHNX Sports Bakery here with all the stuff that we're doing.
We're a bakery. Is there a bakery? Nice. Is there a bakery in the office, Derek, that I don't know about?
It's a metaphor, but it's also the holiday season, and bakeries make me smile, and it's warm thoughts. By the way, I'm 100% convinced that Costco pumps their bakery smells out into the parking lot for us to smell so that we want to go inside and buy their delicious goods. That's just a conspiracy theory I want to throw out there. And I'm pretty sure I'm right about that. But we thank you guys for listening and shopping at Costco. On behalf of Jesse and myself, we appreciate you guys so much. Don't forget, we will have another live show tomorrow. We were a little bit off schedule today, but we will be coming back to you live at 6 p.m. tomorrow with more stuff to chat about. But we appreciate you guys tuning in. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you can bet on it.